I take authority over the darkness right now. Every chain must break. Your kingdom come.
You once burned with the fire of God's presence. There was a time when the secret place was your most cherished treasure on earth. Not duty, not routine. It was pure delight. Prayer was not a struggle. God's presence was not distant. Your spirit carried a holy scent, but somehow, slowly, quietly, almost unnoticed, the flames began to die. Rust took the place of holy fire. Ash replaced oil. What once burned now barely survives. You have not denied your faith. You still believe, you still show up, but you know the vitality is gone. The sharpness is gone. The weight of His presence you once carried has almost completely faded. And the most troubling part is this: you cannot clearly identify how it happened. No single rebellion, no dramatic fall, just a slow burn that is now choking the life out of your spirit. Hear me. Your experience of spiritual dryness is not an accident. It is not a normal or expected Christian experience. Even though you may not be able to diagnose its cause by just looking at the surface, there are things you did or did not do that made you vulnerable spiritually and slowly but surely quenched your fire. I know this because I have experienced what you are going through, and over the last 2 decades, through many mistakes, many hard and painful mistakes, the Lord has shown me the commonest pitfalls in our lives that drain our spiritual fervor and fire. This is not a message of condemnation. This is a message of clarity. Because if you understand why you left, you will know how to return and how to keep yourself from getting into this same position of lukewarmness again. In this message, I am going to be very intentional. I am going to reveal the 5 commonest reasons believers drift away from their secret place without even realizing it. Not because they stopped loving God, but because subtle forces slowly pulled them away. And then, I will show you 5 clear spiritual steps to return, not just to return, but to be restored, to have your fire reignited, your hunger revived, and your intimacy with God rebuilt. If you stay with me through this message, you will not leave confused. You will leave with clarity, and more importantly, with a sure way back, not tomorrow, but this very night. What the secret place really is. Before we diagnose the departure, we must define the place. The secret place is not just prayer time. It is not fasting for days. It is not worship music playing in the background. The secret place is private, intentional communion with God, where identity is refreshed, where intimacy is cultivated, and where spiritual authority is restored. Jesus called it the inner room. David called it the hiding place. Moses called it the tent of meeting. Psalm 91 says, "He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty." Notice the word dwells, not visits, not checks in occasionally. Dwells. The secret place is where heaven shapes the man before the man faces the world. The tragedy is not that many believers stop believing in God. The tragedy is that they stopped meeting Him in private. Most people don't walk away from God deliberately. They drift, quietly, when intimacy is neglected. For a while, the public Christian life can continue even after the private life has collapsed. You can still attend church, still sing songs, still post scriptures, still serve faithfully. But when the secret place weakens, everything else becomes maintenance without power. What follows is not rebellion, it is erosion, and erosion always has causes. Let me now show you the 5 commonest reasons believers drift away from their secret place without even realizing it. Reason 1: familiarity replaced reverence. One of the most common reasons believers drift is over-familiarity. You know how prayer goes. You know the scriptures, you know the language. Prayer became predictable. Worship became routine. The word became information instead of encounter. Without realizing it, reverence was replaced with familiarity. When awe leaves, intimacy weakens. God did not change. Your posture did. The secret place does not survive casualness. It survives hunger. Reason 2: Busyness became a justification. This is one of the most dangerous reasons because it sounds responsible. Work increased, family responsibilities multiplied, ministry demands grew, and you said, God understands. Yes, God understands your schedule, but busyness is not neutral. It always moves your heart somewhere. And if God is not being intentionally chosen, he is being unintentionally displaced. Busyness slowly pushes God to the margins while convincing you that nothing is wrong. The enemy rarely needs to introduce sin if he can successfully introduce crowding. Whatever you stop protecting will eventually disappear. Reason 3. Unresolved guilt made you avoid God. This one is subtle, but deadly. You fell, you struggled, you relapsed, you failed again. Instead of running to God, you withdrew from him. Not because you stopped loving him, but because you felt unworthy to approach him. Shame doesn't make you sinful. Shame makes you withdraw. Conviction draws you closer. Guilt drives you away. If a voice tells you to stay away from God, that voice is not God. Reason 4. You started living on yesterday's fire. Old encounters, old revelations, old testimonies. What once sustained you became memory instead of reality. But manna expires. Yesterday's oil cannot anoint today's battle. The secret place is not a trophy room, it is a daily well. When you stop drawing fresh water, dryness is inevitable. Reason 5. Your private life became a battlefield. This aligns deeply with spiritual warfare. The devil does not begin his attack by targeting church attendance. He targets private devotion, because authority flows from intimacy. If he can weaken the secret place, resistance weakens naturally. Neglect did not just happen, it was engineered. Now, you've seen why you left. But here's what matters most. The way back is still open. Maybe you recognized yourself in every single reason. Maybe the weight of conviction is settling on you right now. Good. Because conviction is not condemnation. Conviction is the doorway back, and I am about to show you step by step how to return and be restored. 5 steps to return and be restored. Step 1. Drop the performance. You do not return by pretending strength. You return by honesty. Lord, I don't know how to pray anymore. Lord, I feel dry. Lord, I miss you. That prayer opens heaven. God is not impressed by eloquence. He responds to truth. The secret place is sustained by authenticity, not theatrics. Step 2. Start small, but be consistent. Many believers fail here. They try to return with extremes, long prayers, heavy fasts. But consistency restores intimacy faster than intensity. 10 minutes, 20 minutes. What matters is not the length, it is the faithfulness. Consistency rebuilds trust. Trust restores intimacy. Step 3. Separate guilt from conviction. This is critical. Conviction says, come closer. Guilt says, stay away. God corrects to heal. The enemy accuses to isolate. If prayer died after failure, it was not conviction, it was deception. Step 4. Return to the word before warfare. Many want power without presence. The word recalibrates desire. The word restores hunger. The word realigns identity. You don't force hunger. You feed on truth until hunger awakens. The word reopens the door of communion. Step 5. Return to a dedicated regular meeting with God. Restoration does not happen accidentally. It happens when you return to intentional regular meeting with God. The secret place survives on appointment, not impulse. You must decide again that God will have a set meeting time in your life, a time that is protected, anticipated, and honored. Hebrews 11:6 tells us, "He who comes to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him." You are not coming to an empty room. You are not speaking into silence. God is there, whether you feel him or not. Come with reverence even when worship feels dry. Even when there are no goosebumps, even when emotions are quiet. Feelings are not the proof of His presence. Faith is. Keep showing up. Keep fetching. Consistency is how wells are reopened. Isaac dug again and again, wells that had been filled with earth by the enemy, until water flowed freely once more. In the same way, by consistent returning, you will redig the well of your life and restore the flow of fellowship with the Holy Spirit. Water will come again. Fire will return again. Do not stop digging. Let me say this plainly. God did not move. He did not abandon you. He did not close the door. You didn't lose access. You lost rhythm. And rhythm can be restored. This does not need weeks of preparation. This does not need permission. It can all begin again tonight. Not tomorrow. Not someday. Tonight. In the quiet. If this message is speaking to you, I want you to respond. Not emotionally, but intentionally. Type this in the comments as a declaration of return. Lord, I return to your embrace tonight. Type it prayerfully, because when you turn, He responds. When you draw near, He draws near. You do not return because you are strong. You return so that He may restore you. The secret place is still open. The fellowship is still waiting. The fire can still burn again, and it can begin tonight. Watch this next teaching on your screen now on reviving your prayer life. Let it guide you deeper into the secret place with God. Thank you for watching, and please share this to other believers in church platforms. God bless you.
Hey family, quick one! I'm just trying to press the like, share, and subscribe buttons. But why are they running away from me? Come back here! Please, help me catch them. Just click like, share, and subscribe before they escape again. Thank you, family.